Hello and welcome to another episode of John Cook Stuff. Hi, my name's John. I'm not a chef, I'm not an amazing cook, but I can kind of get by. As a wedding videographer, I found myself with very little to do during the old coronavirus lockdown. So, along with making dinosaur films with the kids, I decided to have a crack at this. So what I'm going to do is take you through some of my favourite recipes, whether it be books or online. Maybe show you a few tips and tricks, a few corners that we can maybe cut, and if we can, any ways to maybe save a few calories. So welcome to John Cook Stuff. Okay, this time round we're going to be taking on Tom Kerridge's pulled pork, which is in this book here, Lose Weight for Good. Terrific. Full flavour cooking for a low calorie diet. Can't say fairer than that. So I'm going to kick on with this. This is again one of my kind of favourite recipes in the book, and I like to just kind of make up a batch of this and then fire in a bowl for lunch. There's a few other things that Tom does here. If you want to check out the salad that he makes, then check the link underneath the video and go and buy the book or pick it up second hand, who knows. Right, so first of all we are going to start off with this marinade. Again, like to get it all mixed together first and then add in the pork. So first up, which you can kind of get in any supermarket at the moment really these days, is the is chipotle paste. Now Tom, to start with, asks for 100 grams of chipotle paste, and pretty much every single jar I have found has been 90 grams, which is not annoying at all. Anyway, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different with this recipe, which I will get to in a minute. But so for this one, and obviously I'll put my version of the recipe underneath the video as well, is I'm just going to add in about half the jar, give or take. Cool. And next up, 2 tablespoons of tomato puree. Now I know I've said before that I'm a bit of a measuring fiend, which is true except when it comes to tomato puree. I'm just going to squeeze them in. I'm going to say 1, probably 2. That'll do it. Then we're on to 3 tablespoons of cider vinegar. Vinegar is going to kind of add loads of flavour to that pork, and obviously cider vinegar, apple vibe. So we're going to go in with 3 tablespoons of that. 1, it's a fierce smelling beast. Aye. Okay. That sure tastes fine though. Okay, good stuff. And then we're going to go in, now Tom uses the juice of 2 oranges here. The first time I made it, I also used the 2 oranges. I'm not a huge fan of mixing in a kind of sweet fruity juice or fruit itself with meat. So I've taken it out. I've kind of replaced it with something else, but we'll get onto that in a minute. So next up, 2 garlic cloves. Tell you what I'm going to do actually before I get into this. So we're going to have to deal with Mr. Pork in a sec. I'm going to quickly sharpen this knife. Not necessarily for the garlic, but for what's coming up. But whilst I remember. Good stuff. Right, garlic. Now what was he doing with this? I don't know. 2 garlic cloves grated. Yeah, okay. So first, if I just crush it slightly, and that just helps get the skin off of that a little bit easier. Always a bonus with garlic. I'm actually going to use a garlic press because I cannot be bothered to get the grater out. Again, you know, whatever makes your life easier a lot of the time for me. So fire him in and then just scrape off. And then in with the other one. It's a bit of a chunky bit of garlic. It's also the thing with garlic, it comes in all shapes and sizes. For me, the bigger the better though. Crush them down. Just a lot easier than messing around with the grater, I think. And then you're going to be left with a little kind of bit of residue in there. Just poke it down, and you'll get one last little squeeze out of that. Lovely. All right, it's done with. Now 2 teaspoons of dried oregano. So let's fire him in. As I mentioned in the last episode, I've lost my 1 teaspoon, so now I use this half teaspoon. So that's going to be 4 half teaspoons. Done. Okay, 1 teaspoon of flaky salt. We've got a little salt pig behind us. So that's about a teaspoon there. Well, maybe not quite. Fire in a tiny little bit extra. Job done. Okay, 1 teaspoon ground nutmeg. Again, doubling up because I'm only using the half. 1 in there. Ground allspice. Again. Ooh, ooh, yeah, well, there you go. I mean, you know, don't just eat it. Don't. I mean, it's not going to be good. Not going to be nice, really. Is it? Don't do it. Yeah, I'm going to cry some water. Oh, it's like... Oh, it's like a rotten Christmas cake. Ugh. Okay, teaspoon hot smoked paprika. I don't have any hot stuff. And I just bought this jar, so I couldn't buy another one. But we'll fire them in anyway. If you want to make it a bit hotter, I tend to leave it till the end. I've got lots of little sauces and pickles I like to stir through it. 1 teaspoon of ground cumin. So, as I told you, we kind of missed out the orange juice thing there. So, something a little bit different, well, a lot different to orange juice, I guess, is once I was making this and my wife was going to the supermarket and asked her to pick up a jar of the chipotle paste. Anyway, they didn't have any. So, she brought it back and says, I got you some chipotle salsa. I was like, right? But deciding just to go with it, I thought I'll just dump that in and see what happens. And I quite liked it. So, alright. Come on, you beast. So, it's just really nice. It's pretty expensive, it's like £2.50 for a jar of it, which is by anyone's standards for a jar of salsa. It's quite a lot, but we are just going to fire them all in there. Once you've got everything in, just mix them up. Okay, it's looking like it's been mixed up pretty well. Let's bring him off to the side. Slight rinse of the hands. Okay, so let's move on to the pork. Let me introduce you to Jeff Porkinson. He's a beaut. Always name your meat. So yeah, Tom asked for 1.5 kilos of pork. That's after the fat's been trimmed off. This is just a 1.5. I'm going to take the fat off just now. I always use, even if it's a smaller bit of meat, I'll use the same amount of marinade slash salsa, because I just like things a bit saucier and a bit more heavy on the impact. If you've got a smaller bit of meat and don't trust me, which is fair, then you can always just kind of reduce that, figure it out. So what we want to do is just take off, I say just, take off this pork skin here. So that's the rind and the fat. Sharp knife, start digging away. Now it doesn't matter if you take off a little bit of the meat or vice versa, leave a little bit of the fat, but just try and get it as good as you can. A super sharp knife is going to help you. Fingers, fingers, fingers with this. Now, Mr. Kerridge just discards of the skin and the fat. However, we're going to keep ours for a little side bonus treat. As I say, I'm not exactly a top class butcher. Just get it off as best you can. Again, if you can get that knife as sharp as you possibly can, that is going to help. And once you've kind of knocked away at the sides, then it comes a lot easier just to start running the knife down the length of the skin. Ugh. So I'm going to take some of this actual flesh away here, but we'll get a little brucey bonus once we get back onto the extra bollocks scene. Alright, there it is. Not a terrible effort. So yep, keep your pork skin, fat, the lot. Just let's fire them in this bowl here. How handy. Won't see that often. Right, now Mr. Pork is here. So what you want to do is stick him into a bowl. Lovely. Sleeves up, even though you're a bit covered in pork. Just, you know, don't touch anyone or anything else before you've done yourself. Right, so let's bring the marinade back into the groove. Smash them all down. Start running the tap first, learning from the last recording. Well done. So you got some running water, but what you want to do is just move it around. So using that salsa is going to make this naturally a lot more kind of moist than just the two orange juices. Obviously, as you say, if you don't trust me, just go with Tom's original recipe. But if you're up for a bit of, I'd like to say an adventure, but it's not that exciting, is it? It's just rubbing some stuff and some stuff. So that's fine, just get him all there. Yay! Very important, what I didn't mention is you want to put your pork in a non-reactive bowl. So stainless steel or like this ceramic bowl. If you've got vinegar in there, so you don't want it reacting with, say, like an aluminium container or anything like that. So all you want to do after there is just cover him. Try and use as little cling film as environmentally possible. Okay, into the fridge. Right, so Tom says to leave that in there for 2 to 3 hours minimum, better overnight. I'm gonna try and leave it overnight, I'll see what happens. So I thought this would be like a nice, really easy recipe to do, and it is, but the pain is I have to come back several times to mess around with things, although it is super easy. So next, right, so when we reconvene, pork with marinade, and I'll be showing you the way that I cook it, which again does differ from Tom's. Okay, I've made a decision on this pork. Oh, outfit change. I could leave it until tomorrow morning, but then you've kind of got to get up really, really early and put it on. It needs about, the way I'm going to do it takes about maybe 6 hours. So I'm just like, sod it, it's been marinating for 10 hours. I think that'll do. So let's just get them out of the fridge. So yep, that's me. I am pretty much just going to go to bed and fire this on. Well, let's be honest, it's not exactly Nigella, I understand that. Understatement. You know, coming down late at night, opening the fridge, just that tendril of almost erotic light dancing upon her silk pyjamas, just struggling to contain her ample bosom. What's happening? Whilst a group of leather-clad sex ninjas watch on as she goes into the fridge and covers herself in butter and cream, and the sex ninjas lick it off. It's quite thought, it's quite seen. And then you remember her dad was Nigel Lawson, and everything just drops away really, really quickly. And that memory is dead to you. Anyway, so let's have a look at this. Here we are, pork in, it's looking alright. Apologies if this is rambling, we are fairly late at night. So, slow cooker or crock pot if you prefer. This is actually called a crock pot, so it obviously prefers being called a crock pot, so don't upset it and just get on with things. So what I'm going to do is it's generally got 3 settings, so we've got a low, high, and keep warm. Just as an aside, high isn't very high at all. So Tom's idea is to get the get Mr. Porkinson here into the oven, 140 degrees for 3 to 4 hours, covered tightly with foil. I tried it once and it was kind of alright, but it just didn't really it was difficult to kind of tear apart at the end of it. Just kind of thought about the idea of why not stick it in the slow cooker and see what happens. So let's do that. Hopefully not gonna cover myself in pork stuff. Pork stuff that's been sitting in pork. Good, he's in. Lovely. So just all marinade, just get that on top. Right, there we go, lid on. And we're going to put them on to low. That'll do you. So my plan is I'm going to leave it there until, I'm going to leave it about 7 hours, so maybe 6 o'clock tomorrow. Tomorrow morning. If it cooks longer, it doesn't really matter, as long as it's on the low heat. And yeah, so let's wait until lunchtime to see what we come up with. Okay, this is us. This is the final hurdle. It feels like it's been going on for ages, and it kind of has for me. I've been setting up cameras, then taking them down, and then setting them up again and taking them down. But here we are. Pork has been going overnight. Earlier today, I put it on keep warm, so it's probably still cooking that little bit longer. It's definitely the longest I've kind of cooked it. So 7 hours, medium, starting the low heat, and then sort of just kind of resting in itself for about the last 5 hours. So let's have a look at this fella. Oof, looking pretty sweet. Yeah, wow, salsa shark. Excellent. Right, so what you want to do, once you've got this in here, is grab a couple of forks and then just start tearing it apart. And as you can see, it just totally falling apart altogether there. Awesome. So in terms of serving this, I know Tom Kerridge kind of does a hard shell taco, inside a hard shell taco. It was nice to see one of those for a while. With some salad, and he's got some sort of red onion or red cabbage recipe thing in there. Again, have a wee look at the book. What I've done in the past is get one of those kind of part baked baguettes. So bake that, then cut it in half, and then scoop out the soft bread down the middle of it, and then pour some of this in. Awesome. But I'm going to be actually 100% honest. Probably my complete and utter favourite way to serve this is just to spoon some into a bowl and eat it, possibly with a bit of bread on the side. So there you go. This is like a much saucier version than the original recipe. But see, that's just the way I like it. I don't really like it to feel dry. So, tell you what, let's just get a little spoonful of that in, or a big spoonful, up to yourself. Oh, spoon some of him in. Nice. Let's have a little taste. Oh. Absolutely awesome. Really rich sauce with that salsa mixed in there. Chipotle paste. You can fire some hot sauce in this if you really want to. It's actually pretty spicy as it is. So yeah, easy, but a little bit time consuming. No, it's not really that time consuming, you just do little bits at a time. But it's worth the wait. You know, that will keep me going for lunch for 4-5 days maybe. 350 to 400 calories a portion tops. Winner.